QuickBooks Online 2025. Print, email, and create PDF reports. Get ready and some coffee because we're learning to save time with QuickBooks Online 2025. Here we are online in our browser searching for that QuickBooks Online test drive, the free sample company file available to everybody looking for the result that has Intuit.com in the URL because Intuit is the owner of QuickBooks. We're going to be selecting the United States version of the software. We will verify that we're not a robot. Otherwise, they don't let us in the door. They don't believe me. They want verification. You don't think I can pass this test? You don't think I can do it? Oh, it didn't. Please select all of the images. Okay. All right. Yeah, see? No robot could do that. No robot could do that. Let's close this prior tab. We don't need that one anymore. We're in the sample company file. Craig's Design and Landscaping Services, opening the major financial statement reports in new tabs as we do every time. Reports on the left-hand side and the standard tab favorites. Right-click on the balance sheet, open a link in a new tab. Right-click on the profit and loss, open a link in a new tab. Let's tab it to the right. Close up the hamburger to give us some space, some elbow room so we can eat. We're going to go from 010124 tab, 123125 tab, selecting the drop down to see it in years, as has been our custom. Run it to refresh it. They got the 2024 and 2025 side by side. Let's tab it to the right. Same process. Hamboogie, we need that closed. We need you to be closed, please. 010124 tab, 123125 tab, selecting the drop down to see it in years, running to refresh. 2024 and 25 side by side. We now have data in 2025 as QuickBooks is updating their information in their practice file from the prior year to the current year, but we're still refreshing every time so that our prior presentation transactions are not being populated in the current presentation, opening in incognito window so it refreshes the data, which we recommend you do as well, so we have as close to the same information as possible as we go forward. We now want to be taking a look at our reports, saving our reports in such a way that we can group them either for presentation to the clients or possibly to a supervisor, but we're going to basically assume we're in a bookkeeper role, noting that of course presentation is half the battle. We want to batch everything up to look nice, because a lot of the times we're working with people that aren't financial experts, and basically they're going to draw a lot about their relationship and our work from possibly just the presentation of the reports, which means that as we possibly do our billing cycle, maybe on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis or so on and so forth, we might present the reports and so on as part of that process. And when we do so, there's a few ways we might give this information to a client. We, of course, could give them possibly access to the QuickBooks file itself. They might have access to it, but even then, they might not be an expert at, in essence, generating the reports. So we might still want to package together some reports to provide to a client, for example. And when we do that, we could do it by sending the reports by email. If we send by email, we possibly don't want to be sending a bunch of individual emails with like 10 reports on them, because that'll be somewhat tedious. Even if we have one email, if we attach a whole bunch of reports, that also could be tedious, and the reports might not be in a nice order. We could zip a file, for example, and then put it into an email, possibly numbering the files or zipped reports so that they're at least in some kind of order and have one attachment, which might be a level up that we will take a look at. We could provide a external drive these days, like a Dropbox or a OneDrive, to give them access to it, which also could be a level up of information. And then we might try to put all the reports into one PDF file so that we can provide them one file, either by email or by external drive or something like that, which we could do with the management reports we looked at before, or possibly exporting reports to Excel and Word, further giving us more functionality to customize them and then provide them to the client. So let's do a quick recap of basically saving them as a PDF file and how we might do that this time, starting off with a similar process we looked at last time, where we go to the first tab. I'm going to open up the same kind of 3 reports just on the balance sheet, and then we'll continue on with this process with the income statement reports in the next section or course. So I'm going to go into this. We're going to go into the balance sheet summary. I'm going to right click and open that in a new tab and do our general formatting of this report, noting that I'm going to go to my desktop here, and we're going to put this on the desktop in a folder that I called QBO 2025. Now, if you're a bookkeeper, you might have multiple clients, in which case you might be storing your files somewhere and be saying store the file by client possibly, and then within the client file, you might have information by year, right? You might store the reports by year within the client file. For our purposes, I'm going to put it into QuickBooks 2025 for practices. I'm going to put it in this navigation 1 file, and then I'm going to save my reports here. I'm going to see them in a large mode, and this is where I'm going to put my PDF reports. All right, so let's go back on over and say, all right, that makes sense. Let's do our normal customization. I'll make this for 2025, 01/01/25 to 12/31/25. Dropping down, we want the years, that's okay. Closing the hamburger. Let's run it to refresh it. And then I'll customize getting rid of the pennies and so on and so forth. So I'll customize the reports. And I might say I want the pennies gone, negative numbers, get negative numbers red and bracketed on the header and footer. I want to get rid of the date, time, and report basis. Run it. And then I'll save the customization as we did before. I'll put a 1 next to it so it will be in order now. And I'm going to select the groups, new group. I'm going to call this month reports, month end reports, as we did in the past. Adding it, we have to add it again because I refreshed the screen after each of the presentations. So let's save that. And we can see that populated by going back to the first tab and the custom reports, refresh the screen. And so now we have then the month 1 reports. There it is. And we've numbered it. Now, when it's here, we could add them to the management reports, or possibly we just generate it and then save it as a PDF. So let's do that. I'm going to go back on over here, and we're going to now save it as a PDF. So here we have the print button. If I have the drop down button, we're going to export to PDF. You could see the similar thing if I switch to the modern view. Then it's just, you should have the same kind of functionality, but it's going to be located. It's going to have a different look and feel to it. But I'm going to go back to the classic view for now, and then we're going to say let's export to a PDF. Now, as I think about this, note that for the main reports, we're able to export to a PDF file. But if we're not able to do that, you could still print it. And some reports, for some reason, might not have the capacity to export to a PDF. But if you can print the report, you can use a PDF printer to print the report. So if I was to print this and then go to the printing options here, I have the save as a PDF. I also have this cute PDF printer. This, I believe, is a free program. At least it used to be, and I've had it for some time. You can search for a PDF type printer, and that means that if you can get to the printing option, you can use this functionality to at least get it to print as a PDF rather than as a paper file. Now, most things these days allow you to print to a PDF, so hopefully you have that option. But if you don't, and you can still print something, then you could use this PDF printer option in order to still be able to print it to a PDF file. So we have it here. Now we have the printing option. Now I'm going to drag it into my folder. So here's the folder where I want it to go. I'm going to put it on the other screen right now. I'm going to download this information, and I'll say copy and paste. Boom, there it goes. So balance sheet. Now I'm going to put a number 1 in front of it because I want it to be in order in my report. So I'm going to save it. And now the point is that now I have it in my folder here and I have it numbered so that it will not just be numbered in alphabetical order. I can at least give some indication to the client as to the order of the reports they might want to open. So then let's go back on over and say, all right, let's keep it rolling. Let's do our next type of report. Going back to the first tab, standard. Let's open up another balance sheet, right click, open in a new tab. Let's pull it to the right and we'll say close up the hamburger and let's make it for 2025 010125 123125 and then I'm going to run it. Let's do some let's make this our, what did we want to do? Let's do a vertical analysis. Selecting the drop down, percent of columns, run it. So now we have our vertical analysis. Let's go ahead and customize it so that we can say negative numbers bracketed, red, remove the pennies, headers and footers. I want it to be balance sheet, but I want it to say vertical analysis. Get rid of the date, time, report basis, run it, and then I will save the customization. Save the customization for next time. And we'll put that into our month 1 reports. I'm going to call this report numero dos. That's 2 for you non-completely fluid Spanish speakers like me. Totally. Anyway, not really. I'm going to go then to the custom reports. Let's run it again. And then we're going to say that we have those 2 reports. Okay, let's save it. Let's go back to this report. And we could save it as a PDF, select in the drop down. Let's say that we want to export to a PDF and we'll go ahead and save it as a PDF. And so there it is. I'm going to put a 2 in front of it so that it is in order. So there we go. We're going to say boom. And now we have over here our report. And notice they're in order now. So even if these were not in alphabetical order, I'm going to number them, which at least gives me a little bit more functionality, possibly making it a little bit cleaner, a little bit easier on the eyes to whoever we're giving this to, such as our client. Let's go to the first tab and do one more, as has been our custom. Opening another balance sheet, right-clicking on the balance sheet to open a link in a new tab. I'm going to pull that tab to the right. This time doing a quick horizontal analysis just for practicing sake. Closing the ham boogie. Let's change the range. 010125 123125. And I'm going to select this time the drop down here for the previous year. Dollar change, percentage change. Run it to refresh it. Let's do a customization. And negative numbers bracketed, no pennies, por favor, please. Red for negatives, headers and footers. We want the balance sheet horizontal analysis. Horizontal analysis, let's say. Report. And get rid of the date, time, report basis, as has been our custom. Run it to refresh it. And then we're going to we'll save the customization. If I'm going to take the time to customize, I need to save that. People need to see it. I'm going to say this is number 3. People are going to want to see this, man. Let's go ahead and save it. And then we're going to go to the first tab. And in the customize reports, we'll refresh the screen because it's not fresh right now. It needs to be refreshed. I only work with fresh stuff. 1, 2, and 3. I tried to order farm fresh for my vegetables. This is not an advertisement or anything, but then they robbed me. A few bad apples around here. A few bad apples spoiled my whole bunch of apples and vegetable delivery. Dang bad apple. Anyway, let's hit the drop down. We're going to say, let's export to PDF. And then we're going to say that, let's save it as a PDF. And this will be number 3. Number 3. Boom. Save it. And so now just to get an idea of how we might put these together, we can go into our reports and possibly provide this to a client. Now, once we're here, we could say, how could I get it to the client? Well, I could then take these, attaching them to an email, which at least would be better than sending 3 different emails with 3 different forms. That would be kind of ugly. One email with 3 attachments would possibly be better, but it might be better if I can attach one attachment to the email, or I could possibly provide the client access to the folders where I have generated the reports for their review, remembering that even if they have access to QuickBooks, they possibly don't know how to generate these cool reports with a vertical analysis, horizontal analysis, and therefore it still might be worthwhile for us to generate them for them so that they see that we can do cool things over here, and we're here for them at the end of the year when tax time rolls around. Now, if I provide this information on an external drive like a OneDrive, they can get access to this folder, and it's nice that we numbered them so that they're now in the order that we think might be of importance to them, which we can do by simply numbering them. If I'm going to attach them to an email, then maybe I put them into another folder to zip the folder so that I can attach simply one attachment rather than 3 attachments, and more once we also add other reports like the income statement reports. So let's say I add another folder. I'm going to right click and add another folder, and we're just going to call these reports for 12, let's say 3125. And let's pull these in there. Let's pull them in there. And then now I can't attach this folder like this, but if I right click on it, then I can zip the folder. They have a different layout. Compress the folder, zip the file. So now if I zip it, then I should be able to add this report to an email, meaning it'll allow me to do the attachment. So now I have the ability to give them access to the folder this way, where at least it's in order, or if I'm going to give them an email or send the folder in some type of way, I can zip the file so that they can download the folder at one time and still have the information within the folder with that one attachment that will have the information in there. Now, again, we have this option as compared to what if I can put all of the reports on one file. We saw that we could do that in a prior presentation in the reports over here. Now that I have these set up, I could add those to my management reports, and that's a little bit cleaner still because that allows us to have our packaged deal of having them in this little management report, which could create one PDF file instead of for however many reports we have. But we still don't have full customization here. So what's the next option that we could do? Next time, we'll talk about taking similar reports here, exporting them to Excel, and then possibly using Excel and the Qt PDF printer, the ability to export from multiple Excel tabs to one PDF file, to put them all on one PDF file that way. That way can be more flexible than this because it allows us to do more formatting, although the formatting is different and we'd have to update the formatting in Excel every time. But even if we just want to do like font and change the font or something, or the color scheme, we can do that in Excel. And we can also add other pages if we want to have a cover page and other information either in Excel or integrate Excel with Word, which is a little bit more complex, but which might possibly give you the most flexibility to generate a more sophisticated and customized report, which would most likely be the most impressive kind of thing that you can do to try to differentiate yourself as a bookkeeper, as a professional from other people that possibly aren't doing that, and therefore all of their reports will look somewhat similar, either like a default management report or like the defaults that are generated from QuickBooks. They will all have the same font. They'll all have the same layout. They'll use the same terminology, even though some of the terminology for QuickBooks is different than what you might do in normal external reporting purposes, as we saw in the past, for example, for things like the checking account and the savings account being under bank accounts, whereas normal external reporting, we could rename that in Excel to cash and cash equivalents or something like that if we wanted to. So we'll do the exporting to Excel and the organizing of it within Excel a little bit to some degree next time, even though this isn't an Excel course, right? So we're not going to get into a whole lot of detail once it's in Excel, but we'll get into an idea of how you might then do further customizations in Excel, why you might do it, how you might batch that together, and then you can continue on there in Excel world if you want to from that point.